Tristan with Nerdette's Newsstand, and I want to talk a little bit about the kind of running narrative I've seen going around, whether it is on YouTube or some of these websites, and I want to kind of talk about them, talk about what's going on with the comic book industry, and the fact that these people are running with a narrative like DC Comics is losing money. It's absolutely not. Maybe it's not making as much as it did last year, or in 95, or in 97, or in 1986, but it's not losing money. So we will get into that, but first off, I want to, so we all have this story, right? It kind of comes down to what got you into comics, right? So I want you to think back, when you first started reading comics, the first one you picked up, the first few you picked up, what drew you to that? Not only that, but what kept you there? For me, there was a lot. I don't know if I've ever told this story before, but when I was little, I had a really, let's say this nicely. I had a, troubled childhood. My mom was a meth head. My dad abandoned me. So, what he did leave behind though was a book of comics. And, I was like 7, 8, 9 years old, and I found them, and I thought it was a treasure chest. So I'm going through these comics and I think they're treasure, you know, I'm a little kid. Little kids are dumb. So, I'm going through them and I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. Like, I was drawn to, I think Batman and Superman because, well, Batman's human, and I've talked about why I was drawn to him before. There was always something with Superman that drew me to him because, it was the centerfold, the center theme of hope, right? So I would sit there and I would hide from my mother and her craziness in my closet with my little flashlight, and I would read comic books after school every single day of my life. And then it got to a point where there was kids on the schoolyard. You know, we'd pass them back and forth like, okay, you got 2 Batmans? I will trade you 1 X-Men for your 2 Batmans. And it would get to the point where every day after school I would do this. And then a lot of the times I would have, you know, at that point I had my brother. So he kind of taught me all about, you know, well, besides school, he kind of taught me everything. He taught me how to talk. When I was real young, if you notice, I have a weird way of talking. I talk backwards. My mom didn't teach me those things. Like, my brother taught me everything when it comes to that. Taught me how to talk, taught me how to read, those kind of things. So, and then he left. Like, my dad was real weird, and my dad picked him up one day, took him, and he lived with him, and I was devastated. So I got my Superman comics out, and I started reading about hope. All these things you can have when you're hopeful. You know, this theme perpetuated in me so much, and it stuck. And ever since then, I've been, you know, it's my escapist. When I'm down, I'll go to a good Superman comic, and I'll go to that theme. I'll go to that. Or when I feel like I need to be a little tougher on the outside and not such a little tiny baby girl, like, I'll go to Batman. So these things have always resonated within me from a very, very young age. And they still do. Now I'm in my 30s, early 30s. Let's make that very clear. I'm only 32. And I still love my comics. I still go back to those things because even though my childhood sucked, you know, my adulthood is a little bit different, but sometimes you need those. You need to go back to hope. You need to go back to being a little bit tougher. And it's always worked for me, and it's a really weird coping mechanism, but at the end of the day, if it works, it's a lot better than shit like my mom would do, you know, math. Let's see, comic books or math. Nah, this video is so going to be demonetized. But even so, let's get into the bulk of it. The reason why I wanted to tell that story and remind you is because if you really are interested in what the comic book industry is doing at this point, there has to be a love for it left. And I still feel like I have that love for it. I look forward to every Wednesday. I've already read Hell Arisen. I've already went through Detective Comics. I'm like, oh, I need me some punchline. Like, there's a lot of things that still resonate within me from that early age. So, if that is kept within you, then you still want the comic book industry to do well. You haven't gotten to the point where you're so jaded with the industry that you're done. And I'm not done. I don't know that I will ever be. And that may be a problem. Like, maybe I'm too old, but you know what? I don't care. It's real. I don't. Just because if I'm going to spend $4 on a book, it's a lot better. If it makes me feel better. If it's my basic therapeutic agent, so what? So, that love. I want you to remember that love when you think about the industry right now. I want you to remember the first book you read. I want you to remember those things and kind of stop being so negative when it comes to it. So there's been so much talk, and I have made one video about this with the changes with Dan Didio. Now, DC Comics is my passion, obviously. I do like Marvel. Like, I read Star too. That may be its own video of cringe. But Marvel never resonated with me like DC did. And still to this day, I don't want to see anything bad happen to it. I don't. I want to see some changes. Of course, I think we all are at that point where we want to see changes, slow changes, and change is slow. It's going to happen over time. But I don't want to see anything happen to it. So it's frustrating when people are like, oh, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and you've got direct evidence to the contrary. Yeah, maybe it's just me. I get bugged easy, but that's pretty much it. So what I think is going to happen, so if you think about the age of the internet, now, as far as when I was growing up, it was like, remember, what was it, 56K? Like, that was the biggest thing. I remember, like, playing my 56K and, like, waiting for my Sims to come up, and yeah, like, it was, like, a big thing. That has come a long way. It has changed so many industries, and the comic book industry is no different. But I do feel like they're a little bit further behind in the adoption of it. So, it changed. Let's talk about CDs. You remember LimeWire? Nobody else knows the pain of LimeWire. Oh my God, I remember going to school, like, so now I can pick out my favorite song, I can go to YouTube, I can stream it instantly, right? Does anybody else remember, like, picking out their favorite song, getting it downloaded before school, and just hoping and praying that it was done so you could listen to it when you got home from school? Or like it would say 3 hours and 16 minutes, and the next time you check it'd say like 14 motherfucking years. Like, oh God. Wow. Yeah, I need to quit getting off subject. But I'm just saying, look at how different things have changed when it comes to music. If you look at, well, this is Social Media Week blog, but like the top 5 things changed, and one of them is publishing. You also got travel. You know, you used to go to your phone book and get a taxi, and now it's like, ooh, where's my Uber app? Except for I would be terrified to use an Uber. Like, I'm not even 5'4", and I'm a teeny little thing. Like, ooh, no, I'm good. Yeah, I'm afraid of the fucking reflection at this point. Don't laugh. Anyways, so print industry, publishing is no different than that. So, DC, Marvel, you need to catch up to the industry as a whole. Now, I think they kind of had, so if it comes to like music, obviously the sales for CDs aren't there, but the sales for the, merch around it is, and that's kind of how they make up for it. So with DC, I think they need to go, and I read everything digitally. Cosmicology and DC Universe are the 2 apps I use 90% of my time if I'm not doing a video. Those apps are really good. Now, I do think, there's a lot with the HBO Max that needs to happen for DC to be, successful. And I think, whoa, the best way to put it is DC Universe does a really good job of mixing the animated, the new shows, and the comics. If DC Max goes on there and does not have the comics, I won't subscribe to it. Like, that's my main thing going on there, is reading. Mostly of that is back issues. Cosmicology I use for my current stuff. But even so, they need to adapt the way the CD industry has and stuff like that. And I think they're doing a good job. Definitely, when it comes to the comic book industry, it's definitely a future of a digital prospect. Now, I love my floppies. I absolutely, the most exciting thing is, every few months I go to the doctor, and it's 2 hours away. I live in BFE. And there's a comic book shop just down the road. And when I go, I get to get a comic book. I mean, I buy them every week on Cosmology, but it's like, yes, I got something in print form. I think the best way for them to go at this point, and, you know, I could be totally wrong, is those individual issues that they're printing, wait to print them as trade paperbacks, and then kind of use the digital scale at that point. Now, there is a huge issue with piracy, and I'm not going to go into all of that, but I do think the adaptation phase for them hasn't come near as quick as it has with music and other streamlined services. So, not only that, but I want to talk about the doomsayers. So we're seeing a lot of this, and I talked about it before. If 5G fails, what will happen to the comic book industry? Nothing. Let's just be honest, nothing's going to happen. But now there's going around like Marvel is going to buy DC. This is, again, from the same source. Like, consider your sources. That's the biggest thing. But it's from these people that are doomsayers, right? They're constantly negative. How many years, like, I'm going to sit here and show you how many times this has been the end of the comic book industry. How many years can you say that? Not only that, but when AT&T bought it, you said it. Like, what it is to me, in the nicest way possible, in the most, like, everybody's allowed to have their opinion. And if that's really truly what you think, then that's weird, but that's fine. I don't have any right to change your mind. All I can do is say what I think, right? So, to me, there's more of an underlying reason, right? They checked out of the comic book industry. They don't care. That's the biggest thing. And then it goes to, like, buying my book. Or, if that's not the case, it's like, I get clicks. Every time you click on a video, I get AdSense. Every time you click on an article, they get AdSense. So all of this, these doom headlines, right? They all generate some sort of revenue. And I fall for it too. Like, I can't even say that I don't. When it comes to, like, my Google cards, it'll be like Marvel's taking over DC, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I click on it. So I can't even say I'm any different than these people. But there's no good reason for these things to be brought and put out there unless it's for a monetary reason. That's just me personally. That's what I think. If you think differently, that's absolutely fine. It's absolutely allowed to have your own opinion. But in my opinion, they're not fans anymore. They're not interested in the good of the comic book industry anymore. Now, is there going to be a crossover? As far as what I was told, absolutely there is. There definitely is going to be a crossover as far as Secret Crisis goes. Now, that's just a working title, of course. That will probably change. What it's supposed to do, and what I'm told about what it's going to do, is generate a new buzz, right? We haven't seen one of these since the kind of whole little tiny teeny battle between Joe Quesada and Dan Didio. Well, Joe Quesada's now stepped down to a different position. Dan Didio's gone. There is going to be a crossover. I'll apologize if there's not. I'm never afraid of that. I don't know why people think apology is a sign of weakness. I think if you make a mistake, you're human. To err is human, right? So, even so, yeah, there's definitely going to be a crossover, and I think it's going to be a big event. I think it's going to get those titles back up over 100,000 sales. The comic book industry isn't losing money. They're not going to take these IPs, and they're not going to give them, and I gave an example before, but I'll do it again. So let's say they take Superman and license it out to somebody to make a comic book about it, and this comic book gets a lot of attention because it's really controversial, because Superman is now an Asian man named Hope. I definitely stole that from Old Man or I Love Comics, Ingleton. Yeah, people are gonna be like, what? Like, why would DC allow this? And not realize that it's just a licensed character. Not realize that it's not DC doing it. And then that's going to affect their bottom dollar. So, if they have this Asian Superman that is a transgender monkey, I don't know, and people get upset about that, then a new Man of Steel comes out. People are going to be like, there's no difference. Why would I go see that when I won't support that? So they're not going to do that. They're not going to license out those characters. Print is going to continue to happen. I do see it going more digital, but, and I honestly see a lot of it going, we've seen a big push in the black labels and the YAs. Now, don't get me wrong, I like both of the lines. I'm not for, I swear, but I have read all the YAs, and they're not bad at all. They're actually really good if you're like, you know, a child mind like me. They're enjoyable. Black Label has been fantastic. Like, there's been so many great stories told. I do see a lot of it going that way. Maybe a little bit of change with the continuity, maybe more of a streamlining, but these changes are going to come slow, and we're still going to see DC prevail. I can't with the seeing all of the fake news. Like, it's about making money. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. So don't buy into it. Just honestly use your own mind. Like, I think a lot of you are really smart. There's times I look at my comment section, I'm like, wow, I never thought about that. And you know, some of you have great ideas. Just use that brain you were given, because these are fake headlines, and they don't know any more than anyone else. They're generating, you know, buzz, infamy, stuff like that. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know your stories from when you were young. Probably think I'm a little crazier, but that's okay. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey guys, I want to give a huge shout out to my Subscribe Star and Patreons. You guys literally make this channel possible. Black Knight Fool, Brucey, Chris C, Dave Ross, David L, Jeffrey Allen Carnes, Sanjuro, Jeremy Burtz, Joe Bustify, Kato Roan, Magical Exotic Diamonds, Mighty Pauls, Mike Buckner, Robert, Steve Glasker, Timothy French, Ala's Matt Films, Alexander Trapp, Way Else One, and Troy Reiser. You guys are absolutely amazing, and I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like on the way out, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.